At the community funeral for my brother Jake, no one wanted the eulogy. I took the microphone and revealed the truth that shattered our town like a shotgun blast to the heart. He didn't die in a hunting accident, I said, my voice cracking over the stunned silence. Your mayor killed him to cover up the affair that ruined my life. The gasps rippled through the pews like a confession in a backwoods revival, and in that moment, I knew revenge wasn't just a whisper in my veins anymore. It was the storm I'd been brewing for 5 long years. I'd always been the good girl in Willow Creek, Ohio, the kind who baked pies for block parties and volunteered at the VFW hall, the one folks pinned their American dream hopes on. But Jake? He was the wild card, the Marine vet with tattoos snaking up his arms like barbed wire, the guy who fixed everyone's trucks but trusted no one with his own scars. We grew up in that clapboard house on Elm Street, Mama working double shifts at the diner, Daddy long gone to some bottle in Cleveland. Jake shielded me from the world, taught me how to throw a punch, how to hotwire a Chevy if the law came knocking. Reagan, he'd say, ruffling my hair, family's the only flag worth dying under. I believed him. God, did I believe him? That belief cracked the night of the county fair, summer of 2019, fireflies thick as regrets in the air. I was 25, fresh out of community college with a nursing degree and dreams of scrubbing blood off ER floors in Columbus. Jake had dragged me to the Midway, cotton candy sticking to our fingers, the Ferris wheel creaking like old bones against the Ohio sky. That's when I met Harlan Voss, Mayor Voss now, but back then just the slick-talking deputy with a jawline sharp as a switchblade and eyes that promised the world if you'd just look the other way. He bought me a beer at the beer tent, laughed at my dumb jokes about growing up on Spam and Wonder Bread, and by midnight, we were tangled in the cab of his F-150 behind the livestock barns, the smell of hay and regret heavy between us. It was supposed to be one night, a spark in the monotony of small-town life where the biggest scandal was who cheated at bingo. But Harlan had other plans. He started showing up at the diner where I waitressed part-time, slipping 20s under my plate like bribes, whispering about how Willow Creek needed fresh blood like mine. I fell hard. Stupid, reckless hard. He talked marriage, a house with a picket fence, maybe even kids who wouldn't know the sting of food stamps. Jake warned me from the start. That boy's poison, Reagan. Politicians like him eat dreams for breakfast. I laughed it off. What did a grease monkey vet know about love? The betrayal hit like a freight train 6 months later, on a rainy Tuesday in November. I'd just finished my shift, bone-tired, when the sheriff's cruiser lit up our driveway like a crime scene. Harlan was in the back seat, cuffs glinting under the porch light, his face a mask of feigned shock. Reagan, baby, he mouthed through the window. It wasn't me. They hauled him in for embezzling county funds, tens of thousands siphoned from road repair budgets to fund his gambling habit in Pittsburgh. The evidence? Forged checks in my handwriting, my social security number stamped on dummy accounts. I'd signed nothing, touched nothing, but there it was, my name on the news. Turns out, Harlan had been cooking the books for years, ever since he was deputy. But when the auditors closed in, he needed a fall guy. Who better than the nobody waitress he'd charmed into bed? He planted the paper trail during one of our weekends away, forging my signature while I slept off too many margaritas at some Fleabag motel. Jake found out first, hacked into Harlan's email from a buddy in the service, saw the threads plotting it all. He's framing you to save his ass, Jake told me over lukewarm coffee at the kitchen table, his fists clenched white around the mug. We fight this, sis. Together. But fighting meant lawyers, meant money we didn't have, meant dragging Mama's name through the mud she was already 6 feet under from the cancer that ate her alive 2 years prior. Jake pushed me to run, to skip town, start over in the anonymity of a big city. I'll handle Voss, he growled, eyes dark as the Ohio River at flood stage. I refused. This was my mess, my stupidity. So I pled guilty to a lesser charge, accessory to fraud, in exchange for probation and community service. The judge, an old fishing buddy of Harlan's daddy, slapped my wrist and let me walk. Harlan? Charges dropped. Insufficient evidence, the DA mumbled at the hearing, avoiding my eyes. Willow Creek turned on me overnight. The whispers followed me like exhaust fumes. Trailer trash thief. How'd she think she'd get away with it? Folks who'd waved from their porches now crossed the street. The VFW barred me from volunteering, and the diner cut my hours until I quit in a haze of tears and fryer grease. Jake became my shield, raging at anyone who sneered, even brawling with Harlan's campaign goons when they egged our house. "They're circling Reagan," he'd say, patching the drywall with duct tape. "But I'll bury that snake." I didn't know how deep the rot went until the night Jake vanished. It was March 2020, the world locking down for some virus out of China, but in Willow Creek, fear was local. I'd come home from a double shift at the Dollar General. Only job left that didn't require a background check. To find the front door ajar, Jake's truck idling crooked in the drive, headlights cutting ghosts through the sleet. Inside, the place was tossed, drawers yanked, couch slashed, his service pistol gone from the lockbox. A single note on the fridge, scrawled in his chicken scratch. "Voss knows. Protect yourself. Love, Jay." The cops wrote it off as a hunting accident 2 days later. Body pulled from Black Creek, shotgun wound to the chest ruled self-inflicted by deer panic. Bullshit. Jake hated hunting, called it killing for sport in a country full of real wars. Harlan was there at the recovery, consoling the grieving sister, with a hand on my shoulder that felt like a vice. "Tragic, Reagan. Your brother struggles. The PTSD, you know." Lies. Jake's demons were real, but they didn't pull triggers. Harlan's eyes gleamed with that same predatory glint, and in the fog of grief, I saw it. He'd silenced Jake to bury the secret forever. My brother had been digging, emailing contacts in the state AG's office, threatening to blow the embezzlement wide open unless Harlan confessed and cleared my name. That's when the revenge took root, black and thorny in my gut. Not the cartoon kind with Molotovs and midnight masks. No, this was American slow burn, the kind forged in subprime foreclosures and opioid epidemics, where justice is a luxury good. I played the part, the broken sister, head down, scraping by on Jake's vet benefits and odd jobs. Buried myself in the library's microfiche, poring over town records by the light of a single bulb, tracing Harlan's rise from deputy to mayor like a cancer metastasizing. He was cunning, all right, flipped from charming suitor to ruthless framer without blinking, then pivoted to grieving family friend at Jake's memorial. But he slipped. A land deal gone sour, payoffs to councilmen masked as consulting fees. I documented it all. Photos snapped from my beater Civic, voice memos of bribe-laced phone calls intercepted via a burner app Jake had shown me. The tension built like a summer squall. Harlan started sniffing around again, checking on me with casseroles from his wife. Poor Evelyn, the blind loyalist who baked for church suppers and pretended her husband's hands stayed clean. He'd corner me at the gas station, that fake concern dripping like syrup. "Reagan, honey, you look peaked. Let me help." Help meant propositions, meant dragging me back into his web. I strung him along, feeding just enough vulnerability to keep him hooked, all while my file thickened like a noose. Willow Creek watched, divided. Some pitied the fallen girl, others spat when I passed, calling me Voss's side piece gone sour. The controversy simmered. Petitions to run me out of town clashed with underground support from Jake's old Marine buddies, who slipped me cash and whispers of solidarity. By fall 2023, Harlan was untouchable. Re-elected in a landslide, ribbon-cutting new parks funded by who knows what, his face on every billboard promising Willow Creek, stronger together. But I was ready. The plan crystallized over sleepless nights, whiskey burning like resolve. Expose him at the one place no one could silence me, the town hall during his State of the Union address, broadcast live on the local cable station. I'd hack the projector. Nothing fancy, just a USB Jake had prepped with evidence dumps, and let the truth play like a horror reel. No violence, no guns, just the cold blade of facts carving him open. But revenge, like America itself, isn't clean. As the date loomed, doubts gnawed. Evelyn reached out one rainy afternoon, coffee trembling in her hands on my sagging porch. "Reagan, I know about the affair. And the money. He told me it was you, but I see now. Her voice broke, eyes hollow as the mineshafts dotting the county. She wasn't begging mercy. She was offering alliance, keys to his safe, passwords to his cloud. For Jake, she whispered. And for what he did to you. Harlan's flips weren't just professional. He'd gaslit his own wife, convinced her I was the villain to keep his throne. Now she flipped too, a ghost in her own marriage, driven by the same buried rage. We met in shadows, the abandoned Voss family farm on the outskirts, weeds choking the silo like forgotten promises. Evelyn handed over the ledger, handwritten tallies of kickbacks from developers eyeing our wetlands for fracking. "He'll kill to keep this," she said, and I believed her. Harlan's cunning wasn't just schemes. It was survival, the kind that justified stepping on necks. Our pact was controversial from the jump. Wife turning on husband, ex-mistress, wielding the knife. Willow Creek would split, feminists cheering the sisterhood, traditionalists decrying the betrayal of vows. "No one's clean here," I told her, sealing it with a nod. "But he's the rot." The night of the address, January 15th, 2024, the high school gym pulsed with forced patriotism, red, white, and blue streamers, the pledge thundering from kids in star-spangled vests. Harlan strode the stage like a peacock, suit tailored sharp, promising jobs and Jesus to a crowd of 500, cameras rolling for the C-SPAN knockoff. I sat in the back row, heart hammering like AV8 at Redline, Evelyn beside me in a nondescript coat, her face pale as communion wafers. As he droned about unity, I slipped to the AV booth, tech kid from Jake's unit covering my flank with a distraction, a fire alarm glitch. USB in, projector hijacked. The screen flickered, and there it was, emails, ledgers, audio of Harlan laughing over framing that dumb bitch waitress while snorting lines off a Bible. Chaos erupted like 4th of July fireworks gone wrong. Screams, flashes popping, Harlan's face draining to ash as he lunged for the plug. "Lies. Sabotage," he bellowed, but the crowd turned feral. Old-timers shaking fists, young moms shielding kids' eyes, his own counselors slinking for exits. Evelyn stood then, voice slicing through the din. "It's true. All of it. And Jake? You murdered my brother-in-law to bury it." Gasps, shoves, a bottle shattering against the bleachers. I watched from the shadows, the weight of it crashing. This wasn't justice. It was Armageddon in polyester. Harlan's eyes locked on me across the melee, pure venom, and he flipped one last time, desperate, cornered. "Reagan," he roared, microphone live. "She seduced me. Planned it all for the money. Jake found out and threatened me. Self-defense." The lie hung, controversial as a ballot recount, splitting the room. Half baying for his blood, half murmuring doubt, eyes flicking to me like I was Lady Macbeth in Scrubs. Cops swarmed, cuffing him amid the scrum, but the damage was viral, clips exploding on TikTok, X, local news trucks jockeying like vultures. In the aftermath, Willow Creek fractured. Protests clogged Main Street. "Justice for Jake," signs clashing with "Free Harlan," witch hunt. Placards, neighbors unfriending over dinner tables, the diner becoming a neutral zone for whispered allegiances. I became the pariah saint, letters pouring in, some praising my guts, others damning me as a homewrecker who dragged a good man down. Evelyn vanished, divorce papers filed quietly, rumored to be starting over in Florida with a sister. Me? Probation lifted, a settlement from the county for wrongful implication, enough to buy back Mama's house and breathe for the first time in years. But the twist came months later, in the hush of a federal probe that peeled back Harlan's empire like an onion. Turns out, he'd flipped on bigger fish, state senators, even a congressman, to cut a deal, spilling on a corruption web that snaked to D.C. My evidence? The linchpin that saved his sorry hide from life in Supermax. He walked free on a slab, house arrest in a condo overlooking the river, while the suits above him tumbled. I got a knock one dawn. FBI agent, crisp as a new dollar, handing over a thumb drive. Voss's confession. Foreclosure. I burned it in the backyard fire pit, watching flames lick the plastic like absolution. Closure? Bullshit. Harlan's out there, golfing with the elite, spinning yarns of his redemption arc. Folks still debated at the bar. Was I avenger or opportunist? Did Evelyn betray or liberate? Harlan victim or villain? No one's wholly right, wholly wrong, just echoes in the American heartland where revenge tastes like ash and freedom.
And me?
Reagan Ellis, 30 now, nursing in Columbus, scars fading but never gone. I drive back to Willow Creek sometimes, park by Black Creek, toss a pebble for Jake. We got him, bro. I whisper to the current. Kinda. The town's healing crooked, like a bone set wrong. Stronger, maybe, but always aching. That's the real hook. In this land of the free, betrayal's just the setup for the next con. And I'm still playing the game. The drive back to Columbus that night after the town hall implosion was a blur of taillights and tears, the Ohio Turnpike stretching like a vein under sodium lamps. My hands gripped the wheel at 10 and 2, knuckles white as the ghosts Jake used to chase with bad moonshine stories. Radio crackled with call-ins to the local AM station, voices thick with Buckeye accents pitching fits. That boss boy built this town. Reagan Ellis is a liar and a slut. Then the flip. Finally, someone's got balls round here. Jake was one of us. Semper Fi. Static swallowed the rest, but the divide echoed in my chest, a civil war of one. I crashed at a Super 8 off I-71, the kind with Bible Gideons in the drawer and stains on the carpet mapping out other folks' rock bottoms. Sleep came in fits, dreams of Harlan's face morphing into Jake's, shotgun blooming like a bad firework. Woke to my phone buzzing. Dozens of texts, voicemails from numbers I didn't know. Reporters sniffing for quotes, old classmates offering couches or condemnations. One from Evelyn. Safe. Call when you can. We did it.
We.
As if this mess had an US. Morning brought clarity, sharp as diner coffee. I couldn't run forever. Willow Creek was in my blood, same as the rust-felt grit that built it. So I drove back, past cornfields shivering in the wind, the Voss farm a skeleton against the horizon. Pulled into the gravel lot of the sheriff's office. New sheriff now, Harlan's old deputy flipped sides faster than a politician at a fundraiser, badge gleaming with reform promises. Miss Ellis, he drawled, Southern transplant lilt cutting the tension. We need your statement. Full coupe, and the feds'll sort the rest. The interview room smelled of stale donuts and desperation, fluorescent buzz like angry hornets. I spilled it all. The affair, the frame, Jake's digging, Evelyn's ledger. Agent Ramirez, tough Latina from the Cleveland field office, pantsuit crisp as justice, nodded, jotting notes that felt like stitches closing wounds. Voss is singing like Sinatra, she said, no smile. But your play? Ballsy. Controversial as hell. Half the bureau thinks you're a hero, the other half, a vigilante who could have sparked a riot. I shrugged. America's controversial. Pass the ketchup. They released me by noon, a temporary protection order against Harlan's associates, but Willow Creek wasn't the kind of place where paper stopped fists. I headed to the diner, Maud's, red-checked curtains and vinyl booths scarred by decades of pot roast and proposals. Hattie, the day cook who'd slipped me shifts post-scandal, waved a spatula like a scepter. Reagan girl. Front page material. Coffee's hot. Pie's free. The place was packed, not with customers but gawkers, farmers in Carhartts nursing mugs, teachers whispering over salads. Eyes tracked me like I was Exhibit A in the trial of the century. Sat in Jake's old booth, the one by the window with the best view of the square's Civil War monument, and let the stairs wash over. Hattie slid over a slice of apple, cinnamon wafting like Mama's hugs. Folks are torn, hon. Some say you avenge your kin. Others, you wrecked a family. Wrecked a family. Evelyn's face flashed, hollow cheeks, wedding band twisting like a noose. Had I? Harlan was the architect, but my USB was the wrecking ball. The bell jingled, and in walked Tommy Hale, Jake's best buddy from the Corps, buzzcut graying at the temples, flannel stretched over a gut earned from desk jobs and drafts. Reagan, he rumbled, sliding in opposite, calluses rough as sandpaper when he gripped my hand. Heard the tapes. Harlan's a dead man walking. Tommy had been my rock post Jake, wiring cash from his union gig in Akron, teaching me the basics of digital forensics on late-night Zooms. We got more coming. Prints from the safe, voicemails he deleted but couldn't scrub. His eyes hardened. But it's messy. Voss flipped on the county clerk, your old boss at the DG. Says she knew about the skim and looked the other way for a cut. The clerk, Mrs. Hargrove, the one who'd canned me with a pitying pat, muttering about trust issues. Now she was collateral, her grandkids' college fund tainted. Controversy layered on controversy. Was I dismantling corruption or dooming innocence? Tommy leaned in, voice low. Feds want you as a witness. Protected, but public. You game? I forked the pie, crust flaking like resolve. For Jake? Every damn day. The weeks blurred into a gauntlet. Depositions in a sterile federal courthouse downtown, my words transcribed into legalese that made my stomach twist. Harlan's lawyers, slick sharks from Columbus firms, grilled me like a suspect. Miss Ellis, isn't it true you initiated the relationship to gain access to Mr. Voss's finances? Objection. Ramirez barked, but the seed was planted, doubt sprouting in headlines. Vindictive lover or truth-teller? Willow Creek's sex scandal deepens. Social media ignited. Reagan revenge trending with memes of me as a vengeful Valkyrie, countered by innocent until proven with photoshopped images of Harlan as a choir boy. Evelyn surfaced in a Dayton coffee shop, neutral ground, her hair chopped short, eyes behind oversized shades like a fugitive celeb. He's out on bond, she said, stirring sugar into black like it was poison. House arrest, but his daddy's money buys loopholes. Sent goons to trash my sister's place. Her voice cracked, hands trembling. I flipped for you, for us, but now I'm the villain in his narrative. Adulterous wife, betrayer of the badge. We sat in silence, the hum of espresso machines underscoring the absurdity. Two women bound by one man's lies, unraveling in a country where Me Too clashes with MAGA like tectonic plates. I saw the twist coming, she continued, almost casual. Harlan's always flipped, from Democrat to Republican when the wind shifted, from teetotaler to boozer, when the polls dipped. But this? Singing to the feds? He's trading up, small-town mayor for informant gold star. She slid a flash drive across the Formica. His burner phone logs. Ties to the frackers, the ones poisoning the creek. Use it. I pocketed it, gratitude thick as fog. Why? She shrugged. Revenge is a bitch, Reagan. But solidarity? That's the American way we forgot. Back home, the house felt haunted, Jake's boots by the door, gathering dust like accusations. I plugged in the drive, files unfolding like a house of cards, texts to out-of-state numbers, deliverables coded for bribes, even a voice memo of Harlan mocking Jake's grave. One less loose end. Rest easy, hero. Bile rose, hot and familiar. But buried deeper, the gut punch. Coordinates for a meetup, timestamped the night Jake died. Harlan hadn't pulled the trigger. Tommy had, under duress, Harlan's threats to his family's farm hanging like a sword.
Tommy?
The Rock, the brother-in-arms? My world tilted, betrayal's echo chamber amplifying. Called him that night, voice steady as rebar. The logs, Tom. Black Creek. You? Silence stretched, then a sigh like surrender. He had dirt, Reagan. On my boy we'd bust, coulda derailed his scholarship. Said it'd go away if I helped with the accident. Helped. The word curdled. Jake's best friend, flipping for a son's future, gunning down the man who'd saved his life in Fallujah. No one's clean. I hung up, tears carving tracks. The revenge I'd craved now a hydra, heads multiplying. The climax built to a boil at the preliminary hearing, county courthouse packed tighter than a Black Friday Walmart. Harlan, shackled but suited, eyes darting like a cornered fox. I took the stand, oath heavy as chain, and laid it bare. The frame, the murder, Tommy's confession I'd wired to Ramirez pre-dawn. Gasps rippled, Harlan's face crumpling, not remorse, but calculation, already plotting his next flip. Lies, his lawyer thundered, but the judge, a no-nonsense widow from Toledo, banged gavel like Judgment Day. Bail revoked. Remand. Outside, the press mobbed, mics thrusting like bayonets. "Miss Ellis, do you regret it?" A kid from the dispatch yelled. Regret? The word tasted like regret itself. Jake avenged, Harlan caged, but Tommy in cuffs too. Evelyn exiled, Hargrove pleading guilty to misdemeanors. Polarizing as a Trump rally. Cheers from the left, jeers from the right. Me in the crosshairs. Drove home through twilight, radio eulogizing the Willow Creek reckoning, and for the first time, the hook loosened. Revenge wasn't catharsis, it was contagion. Spring thawed Willow Creek slow, like a hangover after a long winter bender, mud sucking at tires and tempers flaring over fence lines. The reckoning lingered in every conversation, a third rail no one touched, but everyone felt the hum of. I kept nursing in Columbus, commuting the hour each way in my '98 Accord, radio tuned to NPR for the national spin. Small-town corruption bust highlights rural America's underbelly. Felt distant, like they were talking about some Appalachian stereotype, not the veins I'd bled into exposing. But home pulled, insistent as kudzu. Weekends found me on Elm Street, yard overgrown, mailbox stuffed with junk mail and jury summonses. The feds had me on a leash, depositions dragging into summer, Ramirez calling with updates. Voss is lawyering up, flipping on the frackers now. Tommy's cooperating, reduced to manslaughter. Manslaughter. The word cheapened Jake's end, turned Brotherhood's betrayal into legalese. I visited Tommy once, in county lockup, plexiglass between us like the lies. His eyes, once steady as a sniper, started. For Mikey Reagan. College. Future. Harlan had pics, threats. I aimed wide. Meant to scare, not. The sob choked him. Jake was family. Family. The irony burned. You killed family, Tom. Walked out, the clang of doors echoing my exit, but doubt wormed in. Was Harlan the monster? Or had he just exploited the fractures we all carried? The debts? The dreams deferred? America's dark underbelly wasn't just corruption. It was compromise, the daily flips we make to keep the lights on. Evelyn texted sporadically. Florida's flat. Miss the creek. Then nothing. I drove to the farm one muggy July afternoon, weeds thigh-high, the old Voss barn sagging like a guilty conscience. Pushed through the door, dust motes dancing in shafts of light, and there she was, Evelyn, in overalls and gloves, prying boards from the floor. Safe deposit, she said without preamble, hauling up a metal box rusted at the edges. Inside, cash bundles, yellowed with age, a ledger predating Harlan's deputy days, his daddy's handwriting tallying moonshine runs and protection rackets. Legacy, she spat. The Voss curse. He flipped to outrun it, but blood's thicker. We sat on the porch steps, humidity pressing like judgment, swatting mosquitoes as the sun dipped. Evelyn's story unspooled. Married young, high school sweethearts, Harlan's charm masking a temper quick as lightning. Thought I could fix him. American dream, right? White picket, 2.4 kids. But the flip started small, campaign promises broken, lovers hidden in motel ledgers, escalating to the frame on me. When Jake died, I knew. But staying? That was my flip. Protecting the lie for the life. Her laugh was bitter, like dandelion wine. Now I'm free. Broke, but free. The box's contents were dynamite, ties to organized Rust Belt syndicates, long dormant but prosecutable. Feds will love this, I said, snapping pics on my phone. Evelyn nodded, but her eyes held shadows. It'll destroy more than Harlan. Cousins, uncles, good folks caught in the web. Controversy again. Expose the patriarch, orphan the kin? We debated till dusk, fireflies winking like conspirators, the air thick with what-ifs. No clean hands, she murmured. That's the twist. Revenge chains you to the guilty. Handed it off to Ramirez next day, her office a fortress of files and coffee rings. Jesus, Ellis, she whistled, flipping pages. This goes back to the '80s. Voss Sr. was connected unions, mob fringes. Her gaze sharpened. You sure? This buries the name forever. Buries. Like Jake.
Bury it, I said.
The probe exploded from there, raids on family holdings, indictments raining like confetti at a funeral. Willow Creek buzzed, town meetings devolving into shoutfests, boss legacy, yard signs sprouting like weeds, pro and con. Harlan's flip came swift, a plea deal inked before Labor Day. Walked from murder 1 to accessory, 5 years probation, community service mopping the very courthouse floors he'd owned. The hearing was circus, reporters from Cleveland to D.C., locals in pews hissing like geese. He took the stand, voice oiled as ever. I made mistakes. Pressures of power. But Reagan? She pursued me, twisted truths for gain. The gallery erupted, judge gaveling order. But the poison seeped. My name dragged anew, Harlan Innocent spiking with deep fakes of confessions I never made. Drove to Black Creek after, water sluggish under overcast skies, willows drooping like mourners. Tossed a stone, ripples spreading. You'd laugh, Jake. Villain gets a slap, hero gets the heat. Wind whispered back, or maybe it was memory, his voice gravelly. Fight dirty if they do, sis. But win.
When?
The town was winning at forgetting, new mayor, a bland accountant, promising transparency while sweeping Voss dust under rugs. Fall brought harvest festivals laced with tension, pumpkins carved into mocking faces, hayrides detouring past the Voss ruins. I volunteered at the VFW again, folding flags with vets who nodded respect now, but whispers lingered. Brave, but stirred the pot. One night, post-shift, a shadow fell across my booth. Harlan, ankle monitor beeping faintly, suit rumpled like defeat. Talk, he asked, voice low. Cops tailed him, but protocol allowed. I nodded, heart thundering. We walked the square, lamplights pooling like spilled secrets, monument looming stern. You won, he said, no bite. But at what cost? Evelyn gone, my name mud, Tommy rotting. Rotting? For a flip born of fatherhood. You started it, I countered. Framed me, killed Jake. He stopped, eyes reflecting the moon, cold, distant. Jake pushed too hard.
Tommy.
I gave him a choice. Like I gave you love or truth.
Love.
The word soured. You gave lies. He flipped then, last gasp. Join me. Sue the county for millions, wrongful death, defamation. We split, start over.
Rich.
Free. Temptation lanced, sharp as original sin, money to escape, to buy silence. America's siren song. But Jake's ghost loomed. Rot, I said, walking away, his laughter trailing like smoke. You'll see. No one's free. The holidays hit hard. Thanksgiving at Hattie's with strays, me, a couple vets, empty chairs for ghosts. Turkey dry, talk turned to the trial's fallout. Frackers fined, creek cleaned, but jobs lost, families fractured. You polarized us, Reagan, Hattie said gently. Good and bad.
Polarized.
The word stuck, mirror to the nation's schisms, red versus blue, truth versus tribe. New Year's, I rang in alone. Ball drop on a cracked TV, champagne flat as hope. Resolution, closure. But dawn brought Ramirez. Voss bolted. Monitor tampered. He's ghost. Panic spiked, then rage, the ultimate flip, cowardice cloaked as cunning. Manhunt kicked off, Amber Alert vibe for a middle-aged Politico, tips flooding from ex-lovers to enemies. Found him 3 days later, holed in a cabin upstate Michigan line, stocked with cash from the box we'd missed. Surrendered meek, but not before a manifesto emailed to the plain dealer. Reagan Ellis destroyed lives for vengeance. I'm the victim of a witch hunt in woke America. Viral overnight, debates raging, Fox calling me radical, MSNBC martyr. The twist? Embedded files, proof I'd colluded with Evelyn, timestamps fudged to imply conspiracy. Lies, but muddy enough to stall the case, controversy churning like a wood chipper. I testified again, voice steady, dismantling each forgery. Judge saw through, but the damage? Eternal. Willow Creek's divide deepened, petitions for my pardon, counter for exile. In the end, Harlan got 18 months, federal pen, but the scar? A nation arguing my soul. Winter 2025 clamped down hard, snow blanketing Willow Creek in a hush that felt more like a gag order than grace. The cabin bust made national fodder, late-night comics riffing on the mayor's great escape, from City Hall to cabin fever. My face pixelated in true crime pods debating, was revenge worth the rift? I tuned it out, burrowed into shifts at Riverside Methodist, bandaging knife wounds and broken hearts, the yar's chaos a bomb to my own. But echoes pursued. Mail brought fan letters mixed with hate, a vet's metal pin to thank you stationery, a housewife's screed calling me feminazi destroyer. Tommy wrote from medium security in Chillicothe, blocky script pleading, "Forgive?" For Mikey. Mikey, the son whose future he'd torched Jake for, now at OSU on scholarship, oblivious or ashamed. I visited once more, plexiglass fogging with breath. Forgiveness is American as pie, I said, but trust? That's earned. He nodded, broken. Flips have consequences. His was a mirror to mine. Evelyn resurfaced in February, postcard from Key West. Conch shell, sun's up. You? Called her, connection crackling over waves. Therapy. She laughed, light for once. Turns out, flipping wasn't just Harlan's game. Mine too, staying silent. She'd started a blog, anonymous, on small-town gaslighting, Veils of the Heartland. Readers flocked, divided, empowerment or exploitation. You're the spark, she said. Controversy sells.
Sold.
Like Harlan's manifesto, my life commodified, the revenge I'd wrought now a brand. Spring verdant, the creek ran clear from cleanup funds, fish jumping like redemption. Willow Creek's annual fair rolled in, midway lights flickering ghosts of that fateful night. I wandered, cotton candy sticky-fingered, avoiding the beer tent like plague. Bumped into Hargrove, ex-clerk, now cashier at the co-op, gray streaks in her bun like defeat flags. Reagan, she said, no venom. Coffee. We sat on a bench, Ferris wheel groaning overhead, her story spilling, complicit for a niece's medical bills, Harlan's charm a hook she couldn't shake. Your truth freed me. Cost me everything, but freed.
Freed.
The word circled, elusive. My own chains? Lighter, but linked to others. Tommy's cell, Harlan's cage, Evelyn's exile. The fair's PA crackled. Harlan's old campaign song, repurposed for the new mayor's bid. Laughter bubbled, bitter. No clean breaks in this heartland. Ramirez called mid-May, voice taut. Plea finalized. Voss to Supermax, 15 flat. Your testimony sealed it. Sealed. Like Jake's casket. Twist. I asked. She hesitated. He named names, big ones. Cartel fringes, political pacts. You're clear, but watched.
Watched.
Paranoia prickled. Shadows lengthening. Drove to the farm that weekend, boarded up now, county property. Pried a loose plank, found a hidden nook. Harlan's insurance, tapes of me, intimate, whispered pleas from our affair days. Leverage, he'd thought. Burned them on sight, flames devouring pixels, ash scattering on wind. No more flips from the grave. Summer sweltered, heat waves warping roads, tempers. Protests reignited, justice for Willow, counter with Voss wronged, marches snaking past the monument. I stayed neutral, volunteering at creek cleanups, hands in mud with kids who asked, "You the lady who caught the bad mayor?" Hero to them, villain to their dads. The polarization peaked at the town picnic tables groaning under jello salads and brats, air thick with grill smoke and grudges. Harlan's cousin cornered me by the cornhole. You ruined us. Good Christian man, twisted by your lies. Nearby, a Marine widow hugged me. Jake's proud. No middle ground, just trenches. Slipped away early. Drive to Columbus, a meditation on the mess. Betrayal's dominoes, each flip a fracture.
Mean?
From victim to avenger, good girl to gray area warrior. Controversial? Hell yes, headlines still debated if I'd incited vigilantism or upheld democracy. Fall leaves turned blood orange, harvest moon fat as consequence. The funeral hook replayed in dreams, my voice at Jake's service, truth bombing the sanctuary. But now, a year on, the community mended crooked. VFW reinstated me. Diner named a Reagan special, apple pie a la mode, sweet revenge. Yet whispers persisted. She got away with it. Got away. With a brother's ghost, a town scar? Thanksgiving brought surprise. Evelyn unannounced, suitcase in tow. Florida's for quitters, she grinned, hugging fierce. Here for the fight. We cooked turkey in my kitchen, Jake's recipe, brined in beer, stuffed with sage and secrets. Over pie, plans hatched, a foundation, echoes against corruption, funding legal aid for framed folks. Flips to fixes, she toasted. Idealistic, maybe, but American, turning poison to progress. But the real climax loomed in December, Harlan's appeal hearing. Drove down with Evelyn, courthouse a hive of suits and stares. He looked gaunt, Supermax etching lines like prison tats, but eyes still sly. Took the stand, voice reedy. Ellis orchestrated it all, affair for access, brother's death staged for sympathy. Gasps, objections flying, but the judge, a black woman from Akron, no nonsense, cut through. Evidence speaks, Mr. Voss. Yours is fiction. Outside, press scrum. Final thoughts.
I pozad, mic trust.
No one's all villain, but silence kills. Speak truth, even if it flips the world. Viral again, debates flaring, pundits picking sides, my words memed into manifestos. Harlan's appeal tanked, sentence upheld, but his parting shot a letter smuggled out. You think you won? The flips never end. Watch your back. Paranoia peaked, shadows assassins. Installed cameras, carried pepper spray, slept with Jake's old K-bar under pillow. Christmas Eve, alone with takeout eggnog, the knock came. Tommy, paroled early for good behavior, duffel slung. Mikey's straight ass. Said to thank you. We sat, awkward as exes, toasting with cores. Flipped wrong, he admitted. But for family. Family. The word healed, tentative. New Year's dawned crisp, resolution burning. Thrive, not just survive. Willow Creek's ball drop, fireworks over the square, cheers drowning doubts. Watched from Hattie's roof, Evelyn beside, Tommy below with locals. The divide? Fading, like frost still there, but navigable. Yet the tension simmered, dark undercurrent. A tip to Ramirez, Harlan's cellmate, chatty, spilling of hits planned from inside. Not on me. On witnesses, Evelyn chief. Manhunt internal, but fear coiled. Revenge's long tail. The year turned, 2025 etching finality, but Willow Creek's wounds wept slow, like sap from tapped maples. The hitman whisper proved vapor, Harlan's bluff, a final flip from bars, but it scarred, trust fracturing finer. I doubled down on the foundation. Evelyn and I incorporating in a strip mall lawyer's office, paperwork smelling of fresh starts and ink debt. Echoes against corruption, voices for the framed. Grants trickled, small-town philanthropists hedging bets, wary of the controversy we embodied. Launch event, VFW Hall, Spring 2025, folding tables laden with sheet cake and coffee urns bubbling like gossip. Crowd mixed, vets clapping Tommy's back, parole complete, working auto shop, Hargrove manning the sign-up sheet, even a few Voskin nodding distant. My speech, scribbled on diner napkins. Betrayal's the thief in the night, but truth? That's the dawn. We flipped silence to solidarity, join us. Applause uneven, but real, polarization thawing to pragmatism, one handshake at a time. Media circled. Local news fluff piece, from scandal to salvation, but national pods probed deeper. Reagan Ellis, Avenger or Agitator, hosted by a podcaster with a conspiracist streak, grilling me on air. You polarized a nation mid-it. The revenge was personal. Personal? Jake's laugh echoed. Damn right, I shot back. But personal's universal in this country. From Watergate to Weinstein, it's the flips that fuel us. Downloads spiked, debates and comments. Hero's journey or hubris? Summer brought heat and hearings, class action suit against the county, my name lead plaintiff, seeking reparations for systemic framing. Lawyers slick as Harlan's old crew, but on our side, arguing in fluorescent courtrooms that Willow Creek's good old boy net snared innocents like me. Harlan testified remote, from prison video feed, face pixelated but sneer clear. She entrapped me. Seduction for sabotage. Jury, diverse, deliberate, hung on it, days deliberating over lunch breaks and lives upended. Verdict. Partial win, settlement modest but monumental, funds for the foundation, precedent for Rust Belt reckonings. Evelyn and I celebrated low-key, bonfire at Black Creek, Tommy tending flames, Moraes sticky as closure. Twist, she asked, marshmallow charring. Harlan's appeal, last shot November. November. Election month, irony thick. Let it come, I said. Fire crackled, stars pricking the velvet sky, Ohio's dome unyielding. Fall foliage peaked, colors defiant, as the appeal loomed. Drove to the courthouse solo, Evelyn in Florida for a speaking gig, gaslighting the heartland, Tommy at home with Mikey. Room sparse, air stale with finality. Harlan, by a feet again, looked hollowed, Supermax grinding, flips exhausted. His lawyer, Junior now, fumbled. New evidence, Ellis's collusion with the wife. Collusion. Evelyn's laugh, from memory. Judge dismissed, weary. Repetitive. Denied. Harlan's eyes met the camera, mine, holding unblinking. You didn't win, Reagan. I made you.
Made.
The word landed, controversial core. Had betrayal forged me, or broken? Walked out to autumn gusts, leaves whirlwinding, phone buzzing Ramirez. It's over. He's done.
Done.
Like Jake. Tears came, hot and unbidden, on the courthouse steps. Not victory. Wept for the cost, the flips that scarred us all. Willow Creek welcomed winter with a community funeral. Irony's echo, this time for old man Hargrove, the clerk's dad, felled by a heart too burdened. No one wanted the eulogy. I took the mic, circle closing. He taught us duty, I said, voice steady. But secrets? They bury the good. No bombshells, just grace, nodding to the divides we'd bridged. Applause warm, undivided. The twist landed soft, post-holiday. Harlan's suicide, cell block note cryptic. Flips end in freefall. Tell Reagan sorry.
Sorry.
Too late, or just enough. Debates reignited. Martyr or manipulator? But I burned the clipping, ash to wind. No more chains. Now, spring 2026, foundation thriving, cases stacking, nurses framed in Philly, vets in Detroit. Evelyn back, partner in all but name, Tommy godfather to a creekside cleanup crew.
Me?
Nursing still, but writing, memoir titled Flipside Justice, raw as Ohio clay. Controversial?
Bets on.
But readers will argue, as they should. No one's wholly right. Jake visits in dreams, shotgun traded for a grin. You flip the script, sis. Proud. Wake to dawn, coffee brewing, Willow Creek stirring outside. Revenge? A chapter closed, you ammed but not defining. The American story, tense, dark, dramatic, continues, one truth at a time. And in that, maybe the happy ending. Not perfect but ours.